What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Raiding Cactus, and today we are going to be showcasing some incredible builds for the Titan, the Warlock, and the Hunter that you should definitely consider running when the day one raid for the Witch Queen launches tomorrow. So, keep in mind, I'm going to be live streaming our entire day one attempt right here on YouTube, so definitely show up for that. However, for this video, what I did was I got 5 out of 6 of our raid fire team together, and we basically just all discussed the builds we're using and why we're using them, and offered some critique and some questions for all of us. So it's not quite the usual video where I'm like showcasing gameplay from Nightfalls and all this crazy stuff to show off a build, but you will absolutely learn so much information. And so let's jump right into it.
Oh, you said you're paying us for this, right?
Oh my, yo, I never said that. Okay, you guys watching my stream?
No.
No.
Well, can you be?
Oh
my God. I'm sorry. So, here's my Titan load. I know I went on a tirade yesterday about wanting to play Warlock because Warlock is cracked out of its mind, but we should probably have one Titan, I feel like, going in there, and maybe we can switch to another one if we really need it. That's my thoughts. Okay, obviously I think I'm going to be Ward of Dawn, Towering Barricade, Vortex Grenade is cracked out of its mind. There's an argument for both. I think Controlled Demolition is better. Bastion is unreal. Like, this is the reason to play Titan, honestly, is Bastion with the healing, instant overshield, so good. Echo of Undermining, obviously weaken. Health Regeneration. This is just gonna make... I have this because I want my grenade to be more powerful, because I am using the Heart of Inmost Light. Super underrated. Like, everyone is using some pretty whack exotics, but this is... Anytime you use your ability, your other two abilities, or all your other abilities, charge faster. So you put down your Bastion, you get your grenade extremely fast. You throw your shield, you get your grenade, you get your Bastion back. Like, you're just kind of chaining abilities non-stop. Then I am using Elemental Ordnance as my way of like producing Elemental Wells, Void Elemental Wells. All right, I haven't switched between this or Elemental Armaments. Either or would be good, because I am using the Funnel Web. I'm using my Copium Funnel Web with,
Ooh.
yeah.
Get it off my screen.
I mean, Perpetual Motion, Adrenaline Junkie. Adrenaline Junkie is a key one. I'm going to be using a lot of grenades. I wish this was Subsistence, but this is the best I could do. Bungie still hasn't fixed Zer, but they've fixed the Funnel Web farm, so clearly their priorities are intact. And then Wither Horde is phenomenal, and I kind of have the Royal Entry as like kind of an ad clearing general purpose thing, and I have the Godroll Red Herring if needed, sticking with a Void Weapon because I do have the Font of Might to get extra 25% damage, which is obviously fantastic. And then also going with Well of Tenacity for more survivability. Obviously Volatile Flow, like you have to use Volatile Flow, especially with the Funnel Web, it's unreal. And I think Volatile Flow is like the reason you use Controlled Demolition, because it triggers, like if you make enemies volatile with the Funnel Web and they blow up, it makes more enemies volatile. So even if you've kind of like lost your volatile rounds, you can kind of keep chaining thanks to Controlled Demolition, which is really nice. And then I am using a Seeking Wells so that my wells will find you guys and me, so I can be behind cover and still be getting all these benefits. So yeah, that's my Titan build.
Nice.
Good job.
I know, I think it's pretty good. The only thing that I would switch is, like, I have Arbalist ready if there are, obviously, barrier champions. I could also, like, easily go, like, Judgment, Deafening Whisper, and throw in, like, the Parasite, just to, like, clap. If we need to clap guys, Parasite's fantastic. Also, Galahorn's ready to go to help buff your guys' stuff and all that. So the weapons obviously will change depending on the encounter, but the main loadout will kind of remain the same here. All right, that's me. That's me. Oh, I might. The only thing I would change to is a cuirass. Randomly, I don't know, maybe, and then go Thunder Crash if we like need. If there's like the big enemies that we have to kill right away, like the knights in the vault encounter type of thing. Anyways. All right, switching over to another build. Amateur, you're our only hunter. And
So I've really come around to liking Arcstrider a lot.
oh my god. All right,
I
Alright,
found
I'm
it's
leaving
really
too.
good in endgame content.
All right, enough with the memes. Take that off. The only thing that would have been better if you would have had the new helmet as well and been like, yeah, so I plan on reflecting everything.
Deflecting all the boss damage.
All right, walk me through this. What are you running here?
That is the wrong super actually. I'm
I was
off to a
gonna
great
say,
start. aren't I?
Mobius Quiver is the DPS absolute master.
Yeah, so Mobius, obviously good damage, good ad clear. Vortex nade, best nade in the game.
Yep.
I'm running Trapper's Ambush and what's the other one? Vanishing Step.
So we're not doing Stylish Executioner. I'm surprised by that.
I'm not doing Stylish Executioner because I don't like the idea of having to rely on killing an enemy to proc my invis. These are both defensive abilities that I can use on my own cooldowns.
True.
Right. So just going all in on being able to activate invis when I want to, not when there's an enemy in front of me.
Plus, especially because they disabled the Suppressing Glaive, which was like the easiest way to trigger
Right.
Stylish consistently. That does make sense. And then Weaken, obviously fantastic. More invisibility, health regeneration. All right, all makes sense. Obviously, Graviton Forfeit.
With Graviton, I can basically have 100% uptime on my invis abilities.
Perfect. And
Very
you're
good.
using Seeking Wells as well? Good.
Yeah.
Reaping Wellmaker. This makes a lot of sense, honestly, because you're just going to be using your class ability nonstop to go invisible.
Yep, we got the 100 mobility, and even picking up Void Wells also regens the abilities too, so just
Perfect.
constant flow of abilities.
Now, what you have here, this is actually really smart. I want to point this out. Having an Artifice Armor chest piece, even if it maybe doesn't have the best stats, what it lets you do is what you see right here, where you have in the Artifice slot the Thermoshock plating. So you get Solar Arc, you have a Void Artifice, then you have Void, and you have one more space for like a concussive dampener. So you get every single elemental resistance covered and something on top of that, which is pretty good. And then Well of Tenacity for resistance, that makes sense. And what do we got here? Font of Might. Look at you with the Artifice Armor. I was too busy getting dog water rolls with every single one of my Artifice Armors. This makes a lot of sense. Font of Might, obviously, for the funnel web. And Volatile Flow. This makes a lot of sense, too. Now, hold on. What is this?
So, I mean, I can switch this to, like, my other option for this slot would be Overload Grenades.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much else to fit into that slot, so I'm just going with Devouring Depths for now. In the case I'm a red bar, I can just pop my tether and absolutely clap anything that's in the way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, honestly. It's like a free slot. You already got the double utility kickstart mobility mod.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Oh.
real quick, just to point out, like, for boss stuff, this is going to be the loadout instead with Orpheus Rig, of course.
So you switched to Orpheus Rigs for that extra Mobius Quiver shot for mega boss deeps.
Yes, sir.
That makes perfect sense. All right, there's our hunter. Now you could, if you wanted to, like go Stylish Executioner, and then you would basically have the same loadout, and then rely on your funnel web and volatile rounds to trigger Stylish. However, like you have to get that Void Elemental first, which is kind of the problem with consistency. If you don't get it first, you're screwed.
You're so gross. Fix it.
Oh my.
Oh, relax, okay? Listen, I just want to show off my Stasis Hunter really quick. Ignore how it looks.
Oh my god.
Ignore how it looks.
No, we can't. You can't
Okay.
fix it.
All right, so Revenant Hunter, okay? Grim Harvest plus Touch of Winter. Touch of Winter actually wombos combines with Renewal Grasps. I did a video on this. Your Dustfield size, I mean, you've seen it. It's the size of a moon. It's enormous. And you get damage resistance while inside. So you use those two things, you get extra grenade energy for taking damage. When you shatter a crystal, you get extra grenade. Like, you get your grenade back all the time. Whisper of Conduction to track your stasis shards, and you get overshields from those shards, and then you simply use elemental shards. So you just get shards literally non-stop, and they're turning into stasis wells. Then you simply combine that with Font of Might for extra stasis weapon damage. And of course, we just use Aegir Scepter plus the Palmyra B. It's just insane. You know, something with Demolitionist here is all you need. Well of Restoration for even more ability gain if you want it. Elemental Charge to become charged with light. Firepower to use those charges every time we throw a grenade to get even more grenade energy. Like, you're literally covering the entire world in your moon-sized dust field. And so if we do need help with ad clearing, this is a build that has a lot of potential for the Hunter. If you're not going like the Mobius Quiver DPS route, you just need ad clearing, here we go. And yeah, your Hunter won't look as good as mine, but okay.
Yeah.
But that's what we got. All right, next person. Let's see what we got here. Warlock, our first Warlock. This is... I was
First
tempted.
and best Warlock.
Dude, I have been like Titan main for life. I was like so close to being a Warlock because of how powerful Warlock is right now. So, what do we got here? Cataclysm. Makes sense, honestly. Goated. You could even say with the sauce. And then we have Vortex
Best grenade in the game.
Best grenade in the game.
Obviously. Feed the Void for Devour with grenade kills.
Yep. Makes
And
perfect
ability
sense.
kills.
Chaos Accelerant. And obviously, we're using Chaos Accelerant because we have Controverse Hold.
Controversies.
So basically, you basically just saw my video saying, hey, you got to use this Warlock build, and you just copied
I
it
think you
exactly.
saw my build, first of all. Hold up.
Okay. All right. Hold on, let's go over these fragments. Weaken. Melee. This is an interesting one. Why do you have this one?
I don't even know, to be honest. I can't switch that.
I mean, you actually are getting a lot of melee kills, I've found, with the Voidwalker. The new melee is pretty nice. And Remnants obviously makes perfect sense with Vortex, especially when you're, like, charging it.
Yeah.
This makes perfect sense, too. And actually good non-copium funnel web with Subsistence. Ignition code. So obviously the reason here for the ignition code is that you're using the Parasite because it's very good, and then you use a kinetic grenade launcher so that you can have grenade launcher finder, and there you go. I mean, I'm not sure you need this rocket launcher finder if I'm being honest here.
No, I have it to switch to if I switch like
Yeah.
a Void Rocket or something.
No, of course, yeah. There's your like alternate weapons. But yeah, double grenade launcher. Your finders and scavengers are working double duty. And what do you got for mods here? This is an interesting one. Kinetic Siphon.
It's just for orbs for the team if anyone's using Charge with Light mods or anything.
True. And I mean, why wouldn't you put on the Void one? I guess it's because you're getting a lot of easy kill. I guess it's with Witherhoard. Like Witherhoard is
If I'm
orbs.
switching to other weapons that aren't Void, then
True. That's a good point. And it's basically going to be the same thing, I guess. You got Volatile Flow for your funnel web, Well of Tenacity for the survivability, Elemental Ordnance. Obviously, you don't even need the like weapons make wells because you're throwing so many grenades. And
I do have that one on my bond though.
Devouring Depths is also fantastic because it's not just if you're critically wounded. If you have Devour on, it works. So you have Devour all the time with this build, so you're just always getting bonus damage for your super. Yeah, this is great. The only thing I do want to mention at this point is like we all have the potential ability to put on, if we are dying a lot, what we can do here is we can put on Elemental Time Dilation, and then we can say like, all right, screw Seeking Wells, I'm going to switch this to Void and put on another Well of Tenacity. And then if you have Elemental Time Dilation and Well of Tenacity, that's like 12 seconds of damage resistance. So that's like, if we're dying a lot, that's kind of the go-to plan, is give up a little bit of the damage output and then lean more into Well of Tenacity lasting for a significantly longer time. All right, Taco, what do you got?
So I'm gonna be the person.
Nice. Whoa, what is this
Um,
old subclass layout? I honestly almost had
I
a stroke
know.
looking at this.
It's so gross.
But obviously, well is unbelievably powerful, so that makes complete sense. And Phoenix. So obviously, the wombo combo here, Void, so Void resistance, and the two other all resistance is covered, makes perfect sense. Now you have a well tenacity, and I liked your reasoning for this. It was basically you're like, well, everyone else is going to be producing so many Void wells, so I'm going to be haphazardly picking them up and getting this damage resistance, which makes perfect
basically.
sense to makes perfect sense to me. Now, you are going to go a little bit different. You've basically got a grenade launcher and a Galahorn on. Also, you have this. I want to point out this crate's really interesting because Adagio is bugged on the crate right now apparently, and it doesn't. It increases the damage by like 30%, but doesn't actually slow your rate of fire. So this is a pretty saucy roll right here. But you've got the grenade launcher, Galahorn, and so that means you can use explosive light wellmaker as your main source of creating wells, which, like, how are you not getting rapid defeats with a Galahorn? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be spawning these like crazy. And then the payoff for solar wells, of course, Well of Life. So that makes a ton of sense. Is there anything else like you're considering using here?
I've got elemental ordnance because my grenades aren't as good as your guys's,
But they're still pretty good.
but I should be getting them back a lot with Benevolent Dawn.
Yes.
And
Hunter
that
Discipline.
makes more, and that makes more solar wells. And then I have Seeking Wells as well.
Yeah, where was that? Yeah, I see
As
that.
in my boots.
A lot of Seeking Wells, and I want to point out again that this makes any wells you create will not only seek to yourself, they'll seek to nearby allies as well. So like if multiple people have Seeking Wells, like everyone on the team is just kind of benefiting from just they will very good if you need to kind of be behind cover and still you want to generate all these synergies that we have here.
And then if I'm not using like a grenade launcher and not taking advantage of that explosive well maker, I can switch off to something else like Font of Might or even the Void Reaping Well Maker
Yep.
to help with our whole Void Well.
Now, if you weren't
scenarios.
using Phoenix, what's your alternative to Phoenix?
That would be Assembler.
Yeah, I just want to show this quickly because Boots of the Assembler, also phenomenal. Just the seeking projectiles. If you are staying back, being defensive, you have a healing rift, and all your team can benefit from these. Just so darn good, and it lets your teammates maybe play a little bit more aggressively. Like I know the people with the Parasite aren't necessarily going to be hanging back, so it lets them go up and yoink some kills. Now, I actually want to point out something about this. Some of you may be thinking, oh, Explosive Personality, it's a solar waveframe, this is so good. However, I would recommend not using this because it's bugged right now and it does way more damage to yourself than normal. So if you shoot it too close to yourself, you're going to end up killing yourself. It's a great synergy enabler, but for that reason, probably shouldn't use it. All right. We're gonna go over Thick. What you got going on here?
So I'm pretty much gonna be running Boots of the Assembler the whole time.
Yeah.
With Well.
So are other players starting with Phoenix to just get more wells, and you're saying no, we're going Boots?
Yeah. I'm gonna have a healing rift up the whole game.
Good.
And
I'm gonna need it, gamer.
Else is gonna
That's
be getting
good.
healed.
Okay, so I think you're pretty much using the same. Yeah. I mean, there's not really much options there. So, weapons. Pardon our dust. So you are going with the blinding grenade.
For now.
For now. Obviously, you can switch that off if you find you need a little bit more damage, but blinding grenades are still fantastic. Galahorn, another great enabler. I'm sure you have. Yep. So you've got Explosive Wellmaker as well. You know, shoot one Galahorn. That's triggering 100% of the time. And so you are... I also notice, okay, there's Well of Life. Like, this makes, perfect sense. You've got some anti-champion things on, which is fantastic. Like, that makes a lot of sense, too. Like, throw on a free, Inferno Whip could come up. There's probably not going to be too many champions in the new raid. There might be a few, but not going to be, like, a Grandmaster or anything crazy. Now, the bow, I'm a little interested by.
I think this arsenic bite roll is the best gun in the game.
What?
Facts. Actually
I,
based.
I mean, I have that same role. I do love it. It's a great role. And
Especially for underlight content.
that's true. Rampage explosive, especially if you start triggering Rampage, you're going to even be one-shotting a lot of enemies, even if you're 20 light below. And even if you have to two-shot, it's a lightweight frame, so that's not that bad. I mean, when you end up dying because you're overwhelmed, I'll make you switch to a funnel web. But I'm just kidding. No, it's an interesting thought. And then certainly there's a lot of like, hey, I mean, look at Vault of Glass, Oracle's encounter. There's a lot of snipers there. A bow can take on those guys, especially the God knows the Scorn Red Bar snipers right now are absolutely cracked out of their mind. I don't know what Bungie did to those Scorn snipers, but they one-shot you on patrol mode in a well. It's insane. So, dealing with those guys at long range is a good idea. Do you have any alternatives, Thick?
I do have a Void build, I think I was working on.
And if you go Void, so you're just going to go Controverse Void. Same as we saw with Elite, and it's just like, hey, you get non-stop grenades, almost 100% uptime grenades with Controverse and Vortex.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Now, if you were to go back to your... I would just want to point out the last kind of thing I want to point out is for both of our Warlocks, if we have a DPS phase, like a boss DPS, I assume what you're going to be doing here is you're going to switch your boots
Yep.
to Lunafaction boots. Exactly. And that is just going to, allow for extremely improved reloads. And I think for DPS, what it's looking like is the meta is like 1 or 2 people have Galahorns, and then the rest of us are just going to have, powerful, lasting impression rockets and stuff. And then those Galahorns are going to trigger our legendary rockets, and that's a lot of damage. And then obviously in a well, potentially with Divinity, who knows? But certainly we all have those weaken effects, so we can just throw our own grenades for an extra 15%. Like, it's a lot of stuff you can do with your own kit, like, pretty easily. All right. Anyone else have anything to say, or is that kind of the builds we're thinking of running?
Doesn't Elite
I mean,
have
I have the
a
Stasis build.
yeah,
but-
Okay.
Stasis one?
Yes. This is actually a good point. So, if the Void doesn't work out that well against ad clearing, I actually have a Stasis, this same Stasis build basically ready to go. So Warlock's got a super powerful tool with the Osmiancy gloves, giving you a second cold snap, which means that you can just run cold snap and then Bleak Watcher. Bleak Watcher doesn't care what grenade you're running, so basically you have 2 Bleak Watchers is the results here. So Bleak Watcher and then Glacial Harvest to get non-stop shards. Did you finally unlock
No,
the
I didn't.
Seeking? Oh my
I'm just
god.
going with this.
You know our raid
can be
team's
that
good
hard.
when you haven't even unlocked all the stasis fragments. I don't think Redeem would allow this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But no. Listen, Glacial Harvest is going to be insane. And then what you have, hold on, did you switch something? Oh no. And then what you have is you have elemental shards. So those stasis shards turn into stasis wells, and that just enables every single like synergy in the book. Like you have easy ways to get charged with light, like we have elemental charge here, because every stasis shard counts as a stasis well, so you get charged with light ×2 every single time you pick them up. You could even use high energy fire because you're getting charged with light so much. We have the old school protective light. 10% is not a ton, but it's certainly not nothing. And yeah, and this is a great way to just add clear like crazy. The Aegir Scepter actually got buffed. A lot of people forget Aegir Scepter got a 40% damage increase as well against red bars. So even in like under light content, it's shredding and spreading stasis everywhere. Something else you can do is you have a good like stasis rocket, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So what you can do is you run Aegir's and then you run the Palmyra's, because this is a stasis rocket. So what you can do is you can use Font of Might And then Font of Might gives extra stasis damage, so your stasis, you know, and the Palmyra is insane. I mean, like, we got explosive light, even more damage against if it turns out to be a vehicle, all this stuff, right? 25% bonus damage for this rocket if you're running these like stasis builds. And these builds are insane for ad clearing. I think a lot of people have kind of like, you know, it's so fun to use Void, they've kind of forgot about how insane stasis is. So I think a lot of us are like ready to switch to stasis for ad clearing, like at a moment's notice, because it's so powerful. All right.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. There are the builds. A lot of the builds my team is planning on running. Again, there might be slight changes depending on the encounter, but really I think those are some great overall builds that you guys can feel comfortable running, and they'll certainly work well in endgame content. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to hit subscribe, guys. That is right down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good day.